I'm out here with Bryce on his family property. We're out here in eastern Williamson,
Yep, Williamson County.
Williamson County in southern Illinois, kind of close to the Shawnee.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite, but
Right.
basically we're in it, right? And then Bryce contacted me a while back and said he had basically some activity going around his property, and I could see why, but can we talk about that a little bit? Like,
Sure.
well, first just tell me, like, what kind of stuff have you kind of experienced? I know we had a sighting over here, but
Yeah.
what else besides that?
Well, about 10 years ago, my dad had heard a roar, and it was at dusk. Him and my cousin Jerry and my grandpa were over at my cousin Jerry's place just up the road here.
Okay.
And it was about dusk. A bunch of coyotes were going off in the field across and everything. He said, birds chirping,
Yeah,
bugs,
yeah,
everything.
normal stuff.
Just normal
Yeah.
out in the country noises.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just heard this loud, powerful roar, and everything went dead quiet.
Right.
He said the hair on his arms and neck stood up,
Yeah.
and it, like, him and Jerry, two guys that do not scare easy.
Yeah.
He was like, I felt fear in that moment. And he was like, because we didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
And so.
Are they both hunters? Do
Well,
they hunt?
Jerry's passed,
Okay.
but Dad, he hunts a little bit,
Okay.
not very often.
And they both grew up around here?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
they know animal noises like
Yeah.
your regular.
Right.
Okay. And they couldn't identify it.
No.
Okay.
And Jerry, I mean, that was all he did was hunt.
Yeah.
And I mean, this farm, it's been in our family since the 1850s.
Okay.
So we've had it for a long time.
Gotcha.
And I mean, there was that.
And then at the time you were telling me your dad didn't really consider any,
He likes the idea of Bigfoot and everything.
Yeah.
But he's one of those that he's open to it, but got to see it to believe it.
Well,
deal.
like me, like I always tell people, I'm not trying to convince anybody Bigfoot exists. What I want to know is, I've been told by people like you, other eyewitnesses, that they've seen it in Illinois, and I'm like, really? How's it in Illinois? I mean, when you come down to southern Illinois, you can kind of see
Right.
a little bit more of a possibility of that. I mean, I know a pretty legit dude that have seen it in Ohio, right? And then there's a guy on YouTube that I follow, Sasquatch Theory, Miguel.
Yeah.
He's in the Ozarks. To me, the Ozarks basically is just an extension of the Shawnee or vice versa, and then it goes through Indiana and goes over to Appalachia.
Yeah,
I mean, to
exactly.
me, it's just one huge forest. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's in Ohio and it's in Missouri, why not Illinois?
Exactly.
But like, again, I'm not trying to convince anybody it's real. That I want to experience this stuff for myself.
Yeah.
And I interview people like you, and it's like, okay, if I'm interviewing people, I want to have the knowledge myself and see what they're experiencing, right? But anyway, can you kind of describe this area a little bit, like
Sure.
as far as like what's the environment like here?
Okay, well, as far as I know, this has always been a farm since we've owned it. And back sometime in the 1800s, in the field across from us, I believe a little more towards the hill,
Yeah.
there used to be an old fort there.
Like, do you know what kind of fort? Like French or?
No,
you know?
it was U.S.
Okay, I see.
It was Fort Jordan, I'm pretty sure, is what
Okay.
it was called. Because I want to say, I could be wrong, but I want to say the guy's name was Frank Jordan,
Okay.
who was like either over it or
Okay.
had it built or whatever.
Gotcha.
Because like West Frankfort,
Yeah.
that town is west of Frank's Fort.
So do you know what that is? Like army type or?
It was some kind of an army type deal.
Like U.S. military.
Yes, U.S. military.
Okay,
And
okay.
because right over in here, there was an Indian settlement.
Okay.
And they used to clash quite often, from what
Interesting,
my
yeah.
great uncle told me.
You have any idea if there's like burials around here?
There could be.
Could be.
I really don't
Yeah.
know. I know that SIU, Southern Illinois University in Carbondale,
Yeah.
they've come out and done excavations several
Okay,
times and
neat.
found all kinds of artifacts.
Yeah.
They found buttons, remnants of a sword,
Okay.
like musket balls, things
Yeah.
like that.
And then what's the woodland environment like here?
I want to say that as far as the farm goes, I want to say there's probably 200 plus acres of woods.
But that connects to other woods, right?
Yes.
That's just your property.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
like
that
your
connects.
family
Oh
plot,
yeah, there's
right.
there's
So
woods everywhere around here. I mean, you could take like the train tracks right over there. You could take those, follow those down,
Okay.
and
Well, that's
eventually.
interesting. There's train tracks because people say that's like a highway.
That's what
Yeah,
I've always thought too.
yeah.
Because I mean, literally, it'll go down there a couple miles, and it'll connect to another set of train tracks that eventually ends up in the Shawnee Forest.
Okay, gotcha.
So, you know, and like
Gotcha.
those guys, the Squatchers.
Yeah, yeah.
They're down in the Shawnee Forest all the time.
Yeah,
They've got
yeah.
all kinds of footage of stuff
Yeah.
down there. Any one of those things could easily just walk up here.
Right,
Because I
right.
mean, what sounds like a long walk for us, as big a stride as they take.
Yeah, right, yeah. What about water sources in this particular area?
There's several. We got Pond Creek right here.
Okay.
And then there's 2 or 3 ponds on the farm. There used to be 5, but whenever the coal mine came through and longwalled underneath,
Yeah.
a couple of them drained.
Okay.
But there is water sources.
Okay.
What was it, 2 years ago, whenever me and my wife and kids were out here on Mother's Day,
Yeah.
we found tracks back behind my cousin Jerry's trailer in that
Okay.
field. And it was a field, it was a lot like how
Yeah.
this one looks, you
Yeah.
know, been like,
Yeah.
haven't had anything planted for this season yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you could distinctively see footprints, big ones. I measured them 18
Did you
and
get
a half.
any pictures or anything?
I did, and I can get those to you.
Awesome. Awesome.
18-inch tracks.
Barefoot.
Yeah. Going from, like, cutting the corner and going right towards the other woods. See, we were going over there because she wanted to go look
Yeah.
for morels.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so we went out. And not only that, but right to the opposite side of that corner, there's a pond.
Okay.
There's also where those footprints were going.
Yeah.
Footprints, sorry.
Yeah.
Were going. That's where the morels were. My dad said. He said
Gotcha.
that was one of the hot spots.
What
for
does
him.
the creek connect to?
Well, the creek, it just kind of, it goes down that way.
Yeah.
I know it also runs up and eventually goes in through West Frankfort somewhere.
Okay.
Because I've seen signs for it over there. As
Yeah.
far as past that, I'm
Yeah.
not really sure. I
Right.
never really looked into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Because
remember,
they follow the creeks, right?
Mhm.
So.
and there's been sightings in the past over by the junkyard in West Frankfort.
Okay.
And let's see, last year when I saw the creature was completely mind-blowing because I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
anything like that to happen. I was just
Right.
bringing my grandpa and I
Yeah.
had my youngest son with me. He was 3 at the time. And we were coming up here to my dad's house to drop my grandpa off there
Yeah.
and come across the creek right there. And I just happened to look over because I caught movement. And right over there, just where that hill is, I saw something that had its back to me down like this and was like digging into the hill
Yeah.
and like throwing its arm back. And when it threw its arm back, that's what caught my attention because I saw this long arm,
Yeah.
like take my arm
Yeah.
and add another half of an arm.
What'd you think it was at first? Like when you first saw it,
When I first saw it, I'm just like,
like were you thinking Bigfoot when you saw it or?
at first I was like, what is that? Like, because
Yeah.
I couldn't see, you know, it
Yeah.
was black.
So how far do you think we are away from it?
Basically right where the hill starts to crest down,
What's that, like 50,
that side,
60 yards?
I would say.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking,
Roughly?
about 50, 60
If
yards.
I'm thinking a football field,
Right.
you know,
That's
that's,
how-
my
that's how I
reference.
look at it too.
Yeah.
Yep. But it was, I mean, it blew my mind because it was like it was paying no attention to me,
Yeah.
you know, but it must have heard me.
Was your vehicle here?
Yeah, I was driving my car.
Okay, gotcha,
Yeah,
okay.
we were just coming down the road.
And I forget, what time of day was it?
It was 3:15 in the afternoon.
Cloudy, sunny?
Sunny. Completely sunny
What
day.
time of year?
It was the week before Mother's Day
Okay.
last year.
Okay,
The month of
gotcha.
May has been
What was the temperature, do you remember?
about like this.
Okay, so
Yeah. maybe 5 degrees warmer since it was sunny.
around 70 some degrees, maybe
Right.
low
Yeah.
70s at
Yeah.
the most. you
Yeah, it
think?
wasn't,
Okay.
you know, it wasn't like, you know,
Yeah.
super hot or nothing or humid.
And then planted, not planted?
Not planted.
Okay,
Not planted.
okay,
And I got up, I dropped Grandpa off there,
yeah.
told Dad what I saw.
Yeah,
And
what
I
did he
was-
say?
He was just like, oh, okay. You know, like, wasn't expecting to hear that.
Right, yeah, yeah.
And then,
And I apologize, can you describe it a little bit again? So
Yeah.
you saw, like what color was the fur?
black.
Okay.
Jet black.
And then
And
what happened after it flung his arm up?
whenever it flung its arm up, because I wanted to stop, but
Yeah.
I had my grandpa and I had my little man with me, so I really couldn't.
Are you sure it was an arm? Like, could it have been a bear? We don't really have bear in Illinois, but we do have bear in Illinois.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like last year, there was several reports around this time of year, wasn't it? Right,
yeah. No, it was not that. Because this, I mean...
Like now, Illinois does not have a native bear population. We probably have... They come over from Missouri when the water gets low, mostly, right? Probably... Maybe Kentucky and maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say possibly. It seems like they always go from like Missouri through Southern Illinois, either into Kentucky or Indiana.
Right. So it probability, I mean, if you want to be a skeptic, you're saying, we would say it could have been a black bear.
Yeah, if
we don't have brown bear around here.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, so it's dark furred.
Yeah, completely dark furred. The arm on it, like I said, way too long to be a human's arm. And the head, I mean, it was built.
Did it stand up when you drove by?
Well, it was doing this.
Yeah.
And as I went by, that's why I said I think it heard me, because it did stand. And when it stand, it never did turn towards me. I never saw the face. I wish I could have seen the face.
Did you do any recreations with anybody?
The next day, me and my wife came out here.
Yeah.
And then we had the kids with us too.
Yeah.
And her and the kids stayed in the car, because I went out there looking, because I was like, you know, I want to see if I can find something.
Right.
And I did.
Okay.
Only thing that sucks though about it is it rained that night.
Okay.
So the print picture that I took, I got a picture.
Okay.
And I got where I think it was digging, where it was digging.
Yeah.
But like I said, it rained, so stuff.
Sure,
yeah. But
did you get a rough measurement of footprint or anything?
Yeah, and it was 16 inches. So it was smaller than what I had found the year before.
Okay.
And the way that the build on this thing wasn't like, you know, the patty film or anything like that. It wasn't the big hulking one.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of or seen the movie that Sam Elliott was in, The Man Who Killed Hitler, and then the Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Remember how the Bigfoot was built in that one?
Yeah.
It was like that. That's what kind of like got me, because you know how they always say like there's hidden truths in cinema?
Yeah.
Seeing that, I'm like, okay.
Interesting. Yeah.
You know?
And how, like time-wise, how long do you visual do you think you had?
I mean, it was literally like 4 seconds.
4 seconds.
But
so
watching it, and in my memory, it was just like slow motion. You know what I mean? I'm just like,
I imagine you didn't see any real facial features.
No, because it was like it had its back. It was like it was like this and just doing like that.
How long was the hair length and stuff?
It was fairly short.
Short.
It was, because at first I was thinking to myself, my cousin hunts out here, and I asked him, I said, hey, would you happen to be out on the farm the other day? And he was like, no.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you know, because...
So uniform in color.
Yeah, completely black.
Did you see any, 4 seconds, any skin?
No.
No, not really?
No. And I think that maybe it could have been wet, like it could have come from the creek.
Yeah.
Because there was some kind of a shine, or maybe water, you know, flinging off of it.
Well, you know, like animal hair, think of a horse. It, like a black horse, has that sheen to it. Did it look something like that?
Something along those lines.
You know, just, so hair can be kind of reflective, whether you think it is or not, you know. Interesting.
And whenever I went over there to look and I found it and everything, Amber said she could barely see me. And whenever I bent down, she didn't see me anymore.
Okay.
So that gives you another idea of the size of this thing.
So are you thinking that 8 to 10 foot range?
I'm thinking 8, every bit of 8's what I'm thinking.
Okay. That's what always blows my mind, because it
was far away,
people
but when
don't
I saw
really know what 8 feet is. Like, a 2x4 is 8 foot tall, so you see a lot of witnesses say it's 10, 12 feet, and maybe it is, but like, people are terrible with, I would not be able to tell you, if I saw something on that hill, how big it is. I'm not a hunter.
Right.
Only reference I have is I'm a former construction guy, so I could like look at a sheet of OSB and say, okay, that's 4 foot wide, 8 foot tall type of thing. Your average ceiling in a house is that 8 foot, right? So
actually, now that you say that, the shoulder length and everything, I'd say it was 4, maybe
really?
even 5. It was wide shoulder.
So it's built.
It was built. But like I said, it was that. I guess, skinny size
Yeah,
as far as,
yeah.
because like the one that looked in that
Yeah.
movie I was telling you.
Yeah. So, I think we should do a little exploration of your land here.
Absolutely.
And so let's go out there and see if we can find evidence of the Pond Creek monster.
Let's do it.
All right. Out here with Bryce, and we're doing our boots on the ground. Cameraman Russ is with us, following us. I mean, so my goal today is maybe find some type of evidence on the property of anything. Maybe we'll hear some vocalizations. I do see some deer track. There are, so there's plenty of game out here.
Yeah.
Man, there's a ton of deer track in this field.
Oh yeah.
And so you heard a whoop towards night.
Yeah, and it was over in that direction.
A lot of people are like, why do you search for Bigfoot in the day?
That's when I had my sighting.
That's when you had your sightings. Most people have sightings in the day.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's visible, just like deer.
Yeah.
I mean, deer don't necessarily come out in the middle of the day, but
No.
sometimes they do.
Yeah.
I mean,
last time I hit one, it was at daytime.
right. I mean, when I'm hiking in the woods, I see deer, usually it's morning or at dusk, but you see them midday in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to be anybody or whatever,
Right.
walking around. So, and if they're wandering around at night, they leave evidence, right? Footprints.
That's right.
Maybe structures. So you look for that stuff when you could see it, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm out here in the daytime, because I've got comments on YouTubers like, why are you out there in the day? And it's like, well, same as I just saw a deer print, because if they're out and about, they're going to leave evidence. So we're looking for evidence. We're getting close to where you think it was, or?
A little bit up.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, like, because you were back there whenever I got over to where I'm pretty sure it was at.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look at me, you can definitely tell it's not a 8-foot person
Yeah.
or whatever. I'm 5'10".
Yeah.
And, looking at you guys look kind of small over there. So I was like,
when I was on the drone, you look like an ant.
yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
this thing was big.
So I guess it was actually more than 60 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, looking here,
Maybe 80.
yeah, you're talking more like 80. It was 80 and you're seeing a huge figure is what I'm trying to say. So it wasn't like had to be something of substance in order to catch your eye.
It was somewhere in that general area where the hill's starting to come down. And like I said, it was like here and just digging like that.
So
but
it's
maybe a
looking
little bit further up.
It's looking for moles, grubs, groundhogs, something.
Yeah. And the arm flinging back was what caught my attention from over there from the road.
Yeah.
I mean, it had to be something big to catch your eye from the road while you're driving.
Right. For sure.
And I mean, I'm always looking in fields anyways, just to see if somebody's out here that shouldn't be,
right.
because I'm very protective over this farm.
Sure.
I mean, now that, it's not as populated of an area with, good families that help each other out and look out for each other. Now it's basically just us.
Generally speaking, people aren't going through the property, right?
No.
And people around this area probably know better that there's going to be maybe some protection involved,
Yes.
right? So,
Yes.
yeah. You said you saw something maybe in this tree line over here.
Yeah, whenever I came back the next day with my wife and I was looking, she was in the car with the kids over there where we got our cars parked. And I was just walking over here, I saw that, and I was trying to figure out, okay, where did this thing come from?
Yeah.
And I'm like, the creek's over here. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, it did kind of have that sheen to it a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe it was wet.
Maybe it was wet.
And the creek was high.
Gotcha.
Because like I said, it had been raining like it has been this month.
Yeah.
And the weirdest thing too is like everything I've found or heard or seen has been in the month of May for 3 years now.
So some guy that I've messaged on Facebook, he was telling me there's this place called Beaver Dam State Park.
Heard of it.
It's, closer to central Illinois. And he says all the activity around there, he says it's not a huge area, but there is a creek that runs around there, of course, and it's kind of swampy.
Yeah.
All the activities in June.
Really?
When people are in the area camping.
Wow. Well, not food source as far as people, but like leftover stuff bears, they have. Scavenger type stuff,
Backpack, lunch pails, or, coolers. Yeah. Interesting stuff.
And I remember being a kid living out here. I used to walk through the fields to go to my grandparents' house because they lived over there where my cousin Tyler lives now. And I remember you would hear, which as a kid, not even knowing anything about Bigfoot then, you would hear what to me sounded like, oh, must be some people building a barn or something, because it sounded like hammers on wood.
Yeah. I think back that I like that too. Like, so I grew up in a forested area. And several hundred acres.
Yeah.
And
just like this.
I never paid attention to if, we kind of like scared ourselves with monster stories in the woods.
Yeah.
But I never really paid attention to sounds. But what's funny is I've told this story before, there's been many times where I was going through there solo and I was comfortable, and then all of a sudden I'm scared. Like super scared. And for no reason.
There was a few times, like I used to go fishing at that pond, which we can swing over there and check that out too. I'll just have to let my cousin know because he might be sleeping. I'm not sure. He works factory job, but his hours are way weirder than mine. He works over at Ison. Where was I going with that? Anyways, we got a pond over there, so another big water source. That's a big pond over there too. That's over an acre.
I think we saw that on the drone.
Somewhere in here. Now, like I said, it's been a year. All the rain, a lot more growth now. But about, say, 10, I'm going to say a good 10 feet, maybe 12 at the most. One of these trees had a break, but it wasn't just a break. It was twisted. And I'm no Bigfoot researcher, famous person, nothing like that, but I do pay attention to posts and things I see.
That's what I say too.
And you hear about a break, okay, that's cool. That could be anything. We just had big ice storm. Look at all the breaks we got now.
Right.
But the twisting. Something that was done intentionally. And as high up as it wasn't me or you out here doing it. You know what I mean? And me and you were about average height guys. And so I don't know, but I found it interesting.
That's what I always say. I don't know what it means. I'm not trying to convince anybody that a Bigfoot did it, but it's worth noting.
And like whenever I had the sighting, I was not sure what I saw. I knew the size and everything. I knew it wasn't a human. I knew that much.
So I noticed when I was doing the drone that this area here seems like, it looks like the forest extends farther going this way.
Yeah, it's all grown up through there now. I don't know how much, if any at all, we own on the other side of the creek, but I know I've been back there before.
Gotcha. So because there's a lot of woodland here, I'm gonna do a wood knock.
Go for it.
And I always tell people, I'm not expecting anything back. I have heard stuff back, interesting enough, which like makes me like, you know what I mean? But I always think, okay, well, if something exists and it's in the area, give them a heads up. And maybe they'll be interested to come in.
I did whenever I was over here while you had the drone going, I was just kind of like doing like tongue flicks or whatever, kind of imitating that sound a little bit, but have my mouth covered to where it's trying to get it to extend. Because there's a theory that instead of taking, they're doing it vocally.
I've heard that too. I've also heard clapping. Good echo.
That was a good
That's
echo.
why I always look forward. I always talk after I do it. That's funny. It did get super quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Let's walk along this edge of the field a little bit and see if
There's a little bit, just like where the rain, falls down the hill and everything, coming from over there.
Okay.
I noticed it going into there, feeding into the creek, because the creek's in there.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And it's a big creek.
I did a good shot of, I could kind of tell, but I mean, the trees are thick, the canopy's thick.
Yeah, very. A lot thicker than I thought it was going to be. There's my cousin's one. But like, yeah, I mean, if you look through there, you can see how it drops down. So the creek's right there.
Yeah. You have turkey out here?
Yeah, there's been turkey out here, deer, raccoons, possums. Yeah, I mean, there's typical everyday woodland
lots of creatures.
animals. Yeah.
So lots of food source.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
And like the weird thing about that deer carcass we found, whenever we found the prints 2 years ago, the only thing that still had fur on it was the two front legs. That was it. Like from the joint right here down, still had fur. Other than that, it was weird.
Yeah, it's weird finding a carcass. And was it in the woods? Was it in a field?
In the field.
So that's what's weird. So like if a hunter is shooting an animal and it's in a field, chances are they're going to locate it.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't a clean kill.
Yeah.
They're going to locate it in a field, more or less. I see stuff here that kind of looks like impressions, but I'm not a tracker. But that's what another thing, I'm learning how to notice indents and whatever in the grass and soil to kind of, that's how you learn to track. Yeah. I'm not by any means any type of tracker, but you got to learn somehow.
Exactly. Let's see. I think maybe here, there. Don't film me busting my ass.
Got some deer track over here. Yeah. Pretty obvious.
Yeah, and there's a path over here I saw. Okay. Like a trail, like where they've been coming in. Yeah. Right through there.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean.
And because like last year, it wasn't as grown up as it is right now, right through here.
What am I seeing there? That's blue.
Something blue? Yeah, I don't know.
Is that a pipeline or something?
The pipeline, their building's over there. See how they've got all that dug up through there?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're digging that thing straight down. It might be a pipeline thing, actually. Damn. Big impression there. Yeah, it's pipeline. Did you hear something back over there?
I did.
I don't know what it was though. I just heard something.
Was it low?
Kinda.
It might have been a dog, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that. My dad has dogs, but they're indoor. But they could be out right now going to the bathroom. I don't know.
But yeah, I did hear something that way. Yeah, dog. Yep.
Sounds like his dog Shishi, the great big Saint Bernard.
Let's go over on that other side.
Okay.
And then see if we can head over to the pond area.
Sure.
So there's a creek back there.
Yes. And I mean, if we just get up to the road and walk down,
Okay.
I can show you where the creek is.
Okay.
We can get down to it, no problem.
It's doing the old Matt Moneymaker. What would, if one was out here, why would it be out here? Why would it be out in the middle of a field? You know, they're supposed to be kind of intelligent and stay hidden.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean they're all rocket science squatches, right? So
my theory on that one is it was hungry because it was digging.
Right.
And
that's a good point.
That's the only thing I can think of is it saw something and it's like, you know what? There's lunch.
And some type of, what we got here? Raccoon?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Washing its food off?
Mm-hmm. Used to have a pet raccoon. It was a wild raccoon whenever I was a kid. It just came in our garage whenever me and my dad used to live in our pole barn house. And it stayed there for like the summer, and we used to feed it grapes, and it would come take the grapes out of our hand and then go over to its water bowl and wash the grapes and then eat it.
Right.
The whole time looking at you while it's doing it.
Right.
Not the, I mean, because I've asked myself that too with, you know, like why in the middle of the day with the road right there? I mean, to me, they're smart enough to know whenever like they see a vehicle, that's people, you know. Hunger is the only thing I can come up with.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't like it was trying to build something.
That's going to trump everything, right? If
If they're hungry enough, they're going to come out and go after it. And too, I mean, I know there's been a few cars drive by, but that's about how it is for the day. It's not a busy road.
It's not like it's a major highway.
Yeah, it's
a rural road.
Yeah. I mean, more times than not, it's coal miners using this road as a shortcut to get over to Mock Mine, which is a couple miles up.
Kind of talked about it. I'm an aper, so I believe if it exists, I'm just 100% in the undiscovered primate. And then, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I started off that way, but the more things I hear, the more like videos I've seen that don't look like AI or person in a suit kind of situations. You know, people like Martin Groves and his story from the LBL and everything. Now, I know he's more known for Dogman, but if you listen to his story, there was 2 Sasquatch there too. And it's just, I don't know. I think, I'm gonna sound crazy on this, but most of my friends think that anyways when I talk about this stuff. I think that when they're here, they're physical. But I don't think they're always,
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like the interdimensional type deal.
Yeah.
But it just sounds so corny to say it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like
for me to do whoops.
I mean, exactly. You know, we're out here in a field right now, walking around, you know, looking for something that most people think don't exist.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I know it exists. It's like there's people who are Bigfoot believers and there's Bigfoot knowers. I'm a knower because I know what I saw after, you know, talking it over with some people. But
and that's the thing, like, I believe you think you've seen something 100%.
Yeah.
I do. I don't question that at all.
Yeah.
What I question is I didn't see it, so I don't know what you saw.
Yeah, and that's the thing,
and
like,
I'm like, as a skeptic, now I believe Bigfoot. I lean towards it is real. I don't lean towards that it's real in the Midwest. That's why I always tell people. So that's why I'm always looking, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
Just getting a little, Bryce noticed this. It's just, it looks like a hog what you would think a hog is digging up. There are no hogs around here.
No, I've never heard of hogs in Southern Illinois.
Deer, but I don't ever remember seeing a deer dig like that.
Well, does that look like big toe and toe prints and all that right there to you in there?
I mean,
Maybe.
see weird.
You see what I'm like? Come over here where I'm at.
No, I do see that. That's weird.
That looks like a toe.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
Maybe.
real distinct, but it does look like a toe or a hand.
Uh-huh.
And
I
I'm
mean,
not
look
saying
at
it
it
is.
compared
It's
to
just
my hand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's big.
This kind of looks like a deer hoof over here. I don't know if that is or not, but I see a scrape. I don't really see anything that's real distinct that says one way or another what the
Right.
hell would have dug this up. But
Strange.
if you want me to speculate, isn't that funny how you saw something digging around here?
Mm-hmm.
And we come across a dig area,
Yeah.
and you're seeing something, and I am too, where it looks like either toe or fingers are pressing up against there. Nothing we can cast or anything, but
Yeah, sadly.
it's I mean, look at my
Yeah.
wider than my foot.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Yeah. I wear a 13. And yeah. That's
Yeah.
way wider than mine.
Yeah. Kind of funny.
Uh-huh. I didn't notice that earlier when we were walking
I
through
didn't
here.
either.
Stuff.
Like I said, you come out here and you think you're going to find a footprint, but how are you going to find it? This field's huge.
Oh yeah, this field's huge, and I mean, the grass is growing up in it now too a little bit. They ought to be coming through and disking before long, I would assume.
Digging. I mean,
And just like, cause I just noticed the disturbance of all
Yeah.
the
Me too.
corn stalks,
me too.
and I was like, "What's that? That's weird."
And like I said, if we were like in Kentucky or something, I would say, okay, or Missouri, I guess, you would say, okay, a hog.
Yeah.
We don't, I've never heard of hogs.
I've never heard of anybody hog hunting in Southern Illinois. It's always been like Missouri, Arkansas, stuff like that. Never been here.
I'm just kind of looking around.
Yeah. It's the only problem too is all the rain we've had.
I mean, you don't know. I don't think this is super old, but I don't know either. Deer, yeah. This is all speculation, folks. I'm not trying to say, okay, this is definitive
neither. It's
evidence
just
of a
something
Bigfoot.
strange I
It's
noticed.
weird, and it looks like there's hand or toes prints in certain areas. And I don't really see anything distinct that says deer scrape. And what the heck are they scraping for?
Yeah, I mean, these aren't going to do nothing,
No.
So,
All right, so this is your property. So we were just down the road, basically, looking at the field where Bryce said he saw something pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what he saw, but that's where we're down here trying to find out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was telling me, he mentioned to me that you've had some like weird noises out here lately?
Yeah, I've had some late night fires and stuff that seems to attract things, and like some whistles, just 3 days ago, I guess it was.
Yeah.
And
Can you describe like the whistle at all? Like,
just a real shrill type.
Okay.
It's like not like somebody's whistling a tune, or
Yeah.
not like a bird I'd ever heard, but
Yeah.
it's just a real sharp,
did it sound, I know it's kind of hard to say, but did it sound more like human-like than it did like a bird?
Oh yeah, more human than a bird. It sounded just real loud, real sharp, you know.
Yeah, like someone's trying to whistle.
Yeah, like
but there's
it was
no one
maybe
out
at a
here.
distance, but it sounded really close.
Yeah. But there's no one out here.
Yeah, there's no,
They-
3 o'clock in the morning, nobody.
Right.
Me
They'd
by
be kind
far.
of dumb to be out here. Yeah.
Right?
But he was mentioning you had a story from like 10 years ago or so where you heard a big howl. Can you describe? Oh, before we do that, so how long did the whistle go, do you think? Like,
It lasted like 4 seconds or so, 4 or 5
Really?
seconds. I mean, it was a big, long thing.
gotcha.
Almost like a train whistle, but I knew it wasn't a train. because it
Enough to
wasn't
get
coming
your
through.
attention.
Oh yeah, enough to, yeah, get my attention real good.
Yeah.
Then when it happened 2 or 3 more times later, you know, it really did.
It did, so it happened more than once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just kind of sit there and looking
Yeah.
over my shoulder, and I had the flashlight, but I was like,
Yeah.
let's shine a flashlight. I just want to listen, you know.
Yeah.
It was strange.
Super interesting. So then, what happened? Like, what was your howl that you, or whatever you
Yeah.
heard?
Well, about 10 years ago, I was in my cousin's driveway, which is just about a quarter mile down the road here,
Okay.
and the coyotes were just going crazy. It was right close to dark. you
Yeah.
know. They were just going crazy, wide open, a bunch of them, you know, right
Yeah.
close down there in the valley, right close.
Yeah. And we hear coyotes going
Oh,
off.
yeah.
But usually something's going on.
Yeah, and then all of a
Hunting,
sudden,
yeah.
there was just a big howl, roar, a big something, and nothing. The coyote stopped, the cricket stopped, I mean, everything stopped.
But it wasn't like coyote-like
Oh,
howl?
no. It wasn't coyote, it wasn't wolf, and I don't think it was a cat. It was just a big roar of some kind.
If you,
Not a roar, but I mean a big, just a loud.
and I know it's been a while, but
Yeah.
like, was it a deep, or
yeah.
was it?
Oh yeah. It sounded like it come from way low. You know, it was
Like-
a big. You know, yeah.
So not a cat.
No.
Bobcat.
We've got bobcats out here, and we've
Yeah.
got trail cams. We've
Yeah.
seen some cougars and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
mountain lions, whatever. But no, we haven't. You know, this year was definitely different, and it just stopped everything. You know.
And at the time, what crossed your head?
Well, I mean, Bigfoot. You know, of
Really?
course. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Bryce is definitely a believer. You know.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it a lot, and I've told
Yeah.
him about the things I've seen and heard out here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, and like I was telling you, just between Thompsonville Road and the other road is nothing but just acres and acres of, you know, not farmland, just trees
Yeah.
and valleys and creeks and, you know.
Yeah. So like, are you a believer? Are you a skeptic? Where do you sit?
There's more than just us in the world, you know. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
a believer enough to be really more than curious about it.
That's how I am. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like if you put me on a court
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
courtroom
Yeah.
and say, do you believe it exists? I would be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I am. You
Yeah,
know?
I haven't seen it or, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard stuff that,
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't sound like.
You're normal.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's, well, just that tree line back there.
Yeah.
I'm looking at right there.
Yeah.
2 years ago, we were just out here. There's, you know, just a lot of stuff going on and everything, and all of a sudden, just dead silent.
Yeah.
You know, just
Yeah.
for about 2 minutes.
Which is an indication of what? Do you
It's
think?
just creepy.
Some,
I don't know. The indication of something.
yeah. Something stopping the sound.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
but I
just
mean,
normal.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's birds. I mean,
Yeah.
just no sound at all, and it was
Yeah.
just like for 2-3 minutes, and I was like, what in the world?
And I've
going on over
experienced
there?
that, but like, in my opinion, that indicates something in the area. Could be a human.
Yeah,
Could be
yeah.
some type of predator.
Yeah, it could be somebody hunting mushrooms over there. for all
Because
I
the
know.
woods don't normally. It could be someone hunting mushrooms. Like woods just don't go quiet. So the
Yeah.
tracks are that way.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
Okay.
back over there.
Gotcha.
And-
The woods go quiet for a reason. Whether
Yeah.
it doesn't mean it's a Bigfoot, but there's something there that
something,
makes it go
something
quiet.
enough to make
Yeah.
everything go quiet. you know?
Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And then, how long have you lived out here?
Oh, pretty much my whole life.
Okay.
I've moved, well, I mean, born
Yeah.
and raised around the corner up there,
Yeah.
and then been out here most of the time. So
Did anything ever cross your mind when you were younger? Like,
I didn't pay attention to stuff like this. When I was
yeah,
younger, didn't
that's
know much
how I
about
am.
it.
Like,
you
I
know?
didn't
mean,
pay attention in the.
You know, I mean, we'd always heard about the Panthers and this and that and the
Yeah.
other sighted around here. You know.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, I never knew anything about Bigfoot much till I just
Right.
started hearing about it. You know.
Yeah.
you know.
You
You've
ever
got-
hear things that sound like wood knocks? What people think are wood knocks?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do
yeah,
you think
that
of
was
that?
down by the bluff.
And again, that sounds are anomalous. They don't mean anything unless you see what's causing the sound. But
Yeah, it could be another guy in the woods
Yeah,
hunting
yeah.
Bigfoot. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? But yeah, they're just, some stuff. Who knows? But,
yeah,
It was on
yeah.
our property and everything, and it was just kind of strange. Yeah, it was,
Do your dogs ever act odd?
Yeah, Yeah, sometimes like, like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. The little black dog we got in there, he'll just go nuts, running
Yeah.
around, running around. I let him out, and he takes off and goes right behind the house.
And animals,
You know?
everybody will tell you that, oh
Yeah.
yeah, my dog does that too, but
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
good to pay attention
Yeah,
to.
he doesn't do it often. He
Yeah.
doesn't, but when he does it, man, he goes, and then the big white St. Bernard just follows him along,
Yeah.
But he's on the hunt sometimes when he just takes off. It's kind of strange.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I guess he wakes up to dream or smell something or something. I don't know.
Something,
But it's always
could be
around
a
the house
deer.
and that
Who
way,
knows?
which is,
Who knows?
yeah.
It always goes that way?
Always
the
goes
same
around the
direction?
house and back that way.
And what's back that way?
Now Bryce's property and the rest of our property, and there's, railroad track, and then
Is
just.
there any water or
Oh
anything?
yeah, there's a couple
Okay.
ponds that way.
Okay.
Yeah. Tom's got a big pond over there, and then there's one just across the railroad tracks. Yeah.
Are there any like orchards around here that you know of?
Not so much
Yeah.
orchards. There's a lot of like just wild stuff around.
Yeah. What about owls? You hear a lot of
A
owls?
lot of them,
Yeah.
man. You're spot on everything lately. I mean, really, a lot of owls, like over here
Yeah.
and then back up that way too.
Well, that's like a common thread with a lot of where people say they have encounters.
Yeah.
But like Cliff Barrickman, who's a big
Yeah.
Bigfoot guy,
Yeah,
he thinks owls are a good indication of possible Bigfoot activity because where there's owls, there's a lot of rodents. So that, which means there's a lot of food chain available for
yeah,
things to eat. So I'm kind of paying attention to the owl thing lately. Yes, there are owls everywhere. I hear owls
They
in my
seem to be
city,
more
but
prevalent. Yeah, Yeah.
it's interesting to note that, and I'm not saying owls have anything to do with Bigfoot. I'm saying if there's owls, there's food source, right?
Yeah. But it's
So
strange,
that's
strange you brought
interesting.
that up though, because really recently I've noticed a
Recently.
bunch of them. A
Huh.
bunch of them. I mean, up there in
Yeah.
here and then back down that way. Last night, I mean, they
Yeah.
were just everywhere.
And you're very familiar with all the different owl
Oh, yeah,
sounds.
yeah.
So when you hear a whistle, it's not an owl, right?
No.
Okay.
No. I didn't know. Well, yeah, I'm learning a lot of stuff talking to you today. You may be trying to learn something from me, but I'm learning a lot too.
I mean, I try not to be an armchair researcher,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, with
Yeah.
just like reading and stuff. I also want to get out in the environment and try to. I want to see
Yeah.
what other people say, and keeps you healthy when you get walking around in
Yeah.
the woods and stuff.
Yeah.
At least that's my theory.
Right.
Even if I don't find definitive evidence for myself,
Right.
I'm enjoying the adventure. I mean,
Yeah.
I hate it when people are like, "You're wasting your time." Is it wasting your time being out in the forest? I don't think so.
No, man.
Why?
It's always a good day when you're out wandering around.
Right? Well, hey, man, I appreciate your time and your hospitality
Hey,
and
no problem, man.
talking about it. And
Bryce knows where the boundaries are. Enjoy yourself out here and see what you can find.
I appreciate that. Alrighty.
So you see that white building right there?
Yeah.
Just like a little storage shed.
Yeah.
Remember me earlier telling you about how whenever me and my wife and my kids were out here, I saw what I thought was maybe a deer bedding spot,
Okay.
but it was really big.
Yeah.
That was about right here.
Okay.
And because there was that.
Okay.
Because I was thinking to myself, after we saw the tracks,
Yeah.
I was like, well, maybe it's hanging out in there. But then I got to thinking, I'm like, well, no, there's that bedding spot right there.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
We're almost there.
Okay. So, like, when you saw these, like, the grass, like, weeds were this high?
Yeah. Pretty well. Maybe just a little bit
Same-
shorter. But it was.
I
it was
forgot.
tall
You said
grass.
same time of year or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Every time for the last 3 years now,
Okay.
it's been May. First 23, it was on Mother's Day, and then last year when I had the sighting,
Yeah.
the week before Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And then with the whoop I heard,
Yeah.
that was just this past Wednesday.
It's interesting. It's been that long because, like, I've been trying to hook up with you for a while.
Yeah.
And it's like one thing after another, and then the weather gets cold, and I'm like, I don't really want to go down there in the middle of winter.
Yeah. Looks like
But,
deer or
yeah.
something's been going through here. But yeah, I mean, that's creepy. Just
Oh yeah. It is.
Okay, so they've got this fire and wheat. But so we came out. I don't care to walk through it. So we came out, and you know, we're sitting here, just, you know, looking around, waiting on the kids to come up. And my oldest son, Archer, he's with me, and he was like, "Hey, Dad, look at those tracks over there." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, bud?" Looked from right about here, because I always use this little white shed as my marker. About right here, going straight through to where you see where that tree, where the top of it's broke down.
Yeah.
Hanging, just a straight line. About 18-inch track. Probably about six
And you
and a
got
half.
and you got photos of these.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
have to find it, but
Okay.
I've got it.
Okay, awesome.
And I've sent it to other people, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like, you know, in case something happened to my phone, they've got it, I can get it from them.
Okay.
But yeah, and then also found some really weird tracks down there in the corner, the very corner.
Yeah.
They were 3-toe, and they were of different size. Some were big, some were small, and they were the way they were. It was almost like they were like fighting, playing, whatever.
How big was that?
Not as big as the Bigfoot track that I'm pretty sure was a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Not as big as those. These were probably about.
Or the basketball player that walked through your field.
Right. Yeah.
With no shoes on.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Because we don't want to speculate.
Yeah. Shaquille O'Neal was here. But no, it was probably. Thinking back on it and guessing, I would say from the middle toe end to the back. At the very most, I would say 8 inches.
Okay.
But also keep in mind, it was in kind of mud.
Claw marks?
So, kind of.
Huh.
On the 3.
So something,
and
maybe a reptilian? Maybe a bird?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. Could have been bird.
Yeah.
Too big to be turkey.
You ever watch Hellier?
Yeah.
Does that make you wonder?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was odd. But I did, because like I had just, you know, kind of started hearing like about the oh hell, I don't remember where it was now, but somewhere it's been on like Monsters of America or Monsters and Mysteries in America, that TV show.
Yeah.
About like a lizard man kind of thing, you know. And I'm like, well, the pond is right there. You know, I mean, I don't know. It was just weird looking tracks, basically. But yeah, it went over there. We went over there. We couldn't find any morels. And we did find, my wife pointed
So they were
out,
heading that way?
Yeah, they were heading towards that.
Okay.
And because first thing I thought was somebody's been out here.
Yeah.
Until I got up on the track and saw how big it was.
Yeah.
And even though it was mud, it was like, okay, nobody's walking out here barefoot and leaving something that big.
Did you see claws?
Not in those tracks.
Okay.
On the ones down there in the corner.
Because like claws would indicate bear, right?
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, my wife, along one of those trees over there, she found what looked like a bunch of little sticks just kind of set up against it.
Yeah.
Could have been something, could have been nothing, no telling. It was just strange, you know. And and honestly, once I found those tracks, and then that deer carcass I was telling you about, was like straight ahead, like basically like right how it kind of has like that little dip right there in the field right here.
Yeah.
And then the other half was right over there.
Still separate.
Yeah. So it was like, and I mean, whenever I looked at it and I went and I looked at the other of it, it was like something just grabbed it and just pulled it apart, because half of it over here, the other half over there, you know. I don't know. It was strange.
I would imagine so, yeah.
But yeah, so this is where it began for me, as far as, okay, something's out here.